Have you seen Star Wars?
It's been almost an entire year since The Acolyte was canceled. It was supposed to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons, and allegedly even a movie. But it was canceled after just 1 season on Disney Plus because of the viewership, and honestly, a lot of the negative reactions probably did not help. Well, now the series showrunner, Leslye Headland, has done an interview with The Wrap where they ask her a lot of questions about kind of what happened. And it's semi-interesting, to say the least. So I'll start with what the interviewer was asking in the questions. They say there was a lot of unfair vitriol around The Acolyte online, and for it to be the first Star Wars show to be publicly canceled, Lucasfilm had never done that. And Leslye Headland replied saying, really, the whole thing with The Acolyte was always a major risk. It was a new part of the timeline. It was all new characters. It was a part of the lore where you couldn't use a stormtrooper. You didn't have the reference of politics and war that Tony Gilroy had brilliantly exploited in such a genius way in Andor. But all that iconography and all those visual references are original trilogy references. And our references were the High Republic novels and the Publishing Initiative and then the prequels, specifically with the lightsabers. I also think that any gripes creatively with the show are completely valid. That's people's reaction. It's usually their reaction to their own reaction. What the fuck does that even mean? But like I said, the show was always a risk. It's an old adage of the first one through the wall is the bloodiest. And this is very similar to coming back to your question about the company. It was very much, let's shoot for the sky. Let's just go for it. So I have no regrets, and I'm absolutely obsessed with Star Wars. I still am, and I love my show, and I know that it was wonderful. And honestly, the designers that worked on the show are more responsible for it because of what Star Wars is. Creating that world is honestly harder than creating the narrative and the dialogue and the characters. That stuff I've done. It's more about hiring the right people, and those people were brilliant. And then the interviewer says, what was the experience for you to see the show not only get attacked, but weaponized by certain parts of the media? And she says, I have thoughts about this and I don't want to go on a tangent, so I'll stick to the personal rather than the professional. I was not online. However, I am a Star Wars fan, which means I've always been, since the launch of YouTube, part of the Star Wars recap, criticism, lionization fandom community. These guys I've known for years and years, so when I got the information from others about what the weather report was, there was real concern from friends of mine or coworkers of mine that saddened me. I was also like, I know who these guys are. You don't have to tell me who's talking about it or how bad it is online. I know exactly who they are. I supported them on Patreon. There are some of them that I respect, and then there's some of them that I think are absolutely snake oil salesmen, just opportunists. Then, of course, there are fascists and racists. So it runs the gaunt. It isn't just one thing or the other. So I think if you're part of the fandom, you understand the genre and the tone of particular channels and creators. So in some ways, I wasn't surprised, and in other ways, I was disappointed. I think you always do that when you create something. It's just that Star Wars is on a massive level of visibility. The content that is being putting out by streamers or studios is being snatched up by these other creators. And so commentaries, synopsis, live videos, all the ways that these creators make money through viewer-based ad revenue and their Patreons, there's a lot of money to be made. And by the way, have at it, get your coin 100%. But it revealed to me that there's a misunderstanding between the studios and that engagement. They think of it as fandom, and in ways it is, but studios use it almost like a focus group. It made me start to think, rather than fans are toxic or these things are being mean to me, it made me think more about the content being made about Star Wars will ultimately be more cultural, impactful than actual Star Wars. I actually believe we're heading into that space. Those IPs will continue to make money, but I don't know how much they will affect the next generation as much as the content that is being created around those events, IPs, films, and television shows. All right, so basically what she's trying to say there is that the fandom around an IP like Star Wars is going to be making more Star Wars stuff that is more culturally relevant than actual Star Wars, which I don't. We'll get to that later. All right. So the interviewer says, was the cancellation decision shocking to you? Did they explain why? Was it viewership or creative? And she says it was kind of both. I was not surprised by it. I think I was surprised at the swiftness of it and the publicness of it. I was surprised by how it was handled. But once I was getting particular phone calls about the reaction and criticism of the viewership, I felt like, okay, the writing's on the wall for sure. The viewership was a little more muddled for me because, and this is my understanding, with Star Wars, you're not just measured with the marketplace that you happen to be in at that time, you're measured against every other Star Wars show. We hit the Nielsen a couple times, not every week or anything like that, but a couple times it poked through. I feel like for a launch of a first season for a show that was trying different things, it could have been worthwhile to allow the audience it was meant for to find it, but that wasn't up to me, so I fully respect the decision, even if I'm sad about it. Then the interviewer says, have you plotted much ahead in terms of season 2? And Leslye Headland says, my showrunner and I had a lot of ideas going into season 1, so we definitely were thinking about it. specifically with Manny Jacinto's character, and then she talks about Soul's character and how he was going to be the emotional anchor for the first season, watching the deterioration of that father figure. So we had already thought ahead and thought about what type of relationship we wanted to look at in the second season. We had talked about all of that from a thematic and character standpoint, but in terms of actual narrative, there were only a couple signposts that we knew we wanted to hit. I still do not understand Lucasfilm, man. After reading this interview and everything, I really don't understand what they saw in her, because this is one of those weird things you have to do as a online content creator or whatever. It's like, I've never met this woman in my entire life, so who the hell am I to sit here and criticize her and her writing and quality of directing and everything like that when I could not do any of this? But at the same time, Leslye, I think you're missing the bigger point. The show is just not good. I understand we like to do this thing where it's like, oh, this had a bad reaction to it because we did some DEI stuff and a lot of people are racist and sexist against, minorities and everything. Yes, that's absolutely true. It's been true since almost the dawn of time that the people have, prejudices that are absolutely irrational. But you know what you do with people like that? You just ignore them. You move on. You don't think about it because it's not valid criticism. It's really not. But to say that that is like the ultimate reason why this show did not have high viewership is because all the racist and sexist people just didn't tune in. And she's like, well, the people it was made for, we didn't really give them time to. Who is it made for if not Star Wars fans? Like, give me the category of people you're trying to say this is made for, if not Star Wars fans. And we kind of know who she made this for. She made this for the people on Twitter, the people on Tumblr, the Yas Queen kind of people. That's who she made this for. And fine, so be it. At least be a little bit more open and honest about it. I hate that she's sitting here almost complaining about the idea of being compared to other Star Wars shows. Dude, this was a $250 million season 1. 250, that's a movie, bro. And Obi-Wan was made for like what, 100 million, maybe like $80 million. It's an extremely cheap show, and it looks it. So it's baffling that Kenobi and the Acolyte kind of look the same in terms of production quality, yet one is over 2 times the budget of the other. And she's like, why are you comparing us to? Well, because yes, Kenobi did phenomenal in the viewership at the beginning, teetered off because it was not a very good show. You guys started low, but you could have built up kind of like Andor did, where Andor started a little strong, but just didn't really hit it at the first season, and then it kind of picked up towards the end. And then season 2, because yes, like she was saying, of like, you kind of want the audience to come into, because we had sat on season 1 for so long and realized how much of a masterpiece it was. By the time season 2 came out, it was a big deal. You weren't going to get that with the Acolyte. The viewership was so bad. She talks about the Nielsen ratings and everything. It's like, yes, all the other Star Wars shows were hitting the top 10 in the Nielsen every week. And then yours like didn't. It did it maybe once or twice. That is why you're being compared to them, because you cost more than everyone else and did worse than everyone else. That's a problem. And to sit there, there's fans of the Acolyte saying like, oh, well, they never canceled Obi-Wan season 2. They never canceled Skeleton Crew season 2 or Book of Boba Fett. Okay, when they made these shows, there wasn't this tacit promise of multiple seasons. It really wasn't. It was kind of understood watching season 1 of all of those shows, and maybe it's the only season, that this was kind of it. This was built to be a multiple season series. That's why it got canceled. It's not I'm sorry, but just because the racist and the sexist people didn't tune in, it does not mean the difference in viewership is as large as it is. Are you telling me that everyone who tuned in for Andor seasons 1 and 2 and didn't tune in for the Acolyte season 1, like that big quality of viewership that's missing is all just like racist and sexist people? No, it's not. I'm sorry. I am someone, and I've been beating this drum for almost 5 years. When the Acolyte was announced, what did I say? This is my most anticipated Star Wars series. It is a Sith-centered mystery thriller. And it was none of that. It really wasn't. There was no mystery to it. The mystery wasn't even interesting after the first 2 episodes. And they kept going off. Look, I think, what was it, episode 3, where they did like a flashback, where it's the power of 1, the power of 2, the power of many. And then, like, I think episode 7, it goes back to that same episode, but just from a different point of view. Like, stuff's ridiculous, dude. It wasn't interesting enough. And honestly, it just wasn't good. It's as simple as the end of the day, no matter what anyone wants to say about The Acolyte or anything, it is a poorly written, poorly directed show, and it looks cheap despite being $250 million. It makes no sense to me how this keeps happening at Lucasfilm too. I do not, for the life of me, I really want to know if there's anyone over there who says no to something like, "Hey guys, this is a bad idea." Like no one during the making of The Acolyte was watching the dailies or read the scripts and go, "Hey, we have a problem. This is a problem. This is not good." And I think what really sucks at the end of the day for Star Wars fans is that stuff like this, it does impact us in a bit. You know, like I said for many years, Darth Plagueis is like one of my top 3 favorite Sith, like right there with Darth Bane and everything. I love the Darth Plagueis novel. I love almost everything that guy did. And the fact that now in canon, this is the first show he showed up in live act, like it it's like disrespectful almost. It's like you don't really show the care for some of the stuff that I think a lot of fans would. And that's what's heartbreaking about a lot of what they have done with Star Wars is it's like I cannot believe you gave Darth Plagueis to Leslye Headland and she just kind of didn't do anything. Like there's just nothing there. There's no there. You know, it's super annoying. It's oh man, I don't know. I don't want to spend hours. Like I know people are going to really make a big deal about the whole her talking about the YouTuber stuff and snake oil salesman. If anyone is out here getting mad about what she said there, you are the snake oil salesman opportunist that she's talking about. Okay, when you look at these kind of situations, the problem that we are facing as a community is that this is no longer about the quality of the content anymore. This is about what side are you on, and it's not even really about the fandom. It's all become political. You know, like it's let's all take the caps off for a second. It's very obvious what side of the fandom likes this show. The people on Twitter and the Tumblr, the Yes Queen group, you know, and then the people who don't like it, yeah, a good chunk of them, not all of them. I'd say about 20 to 30% of the dissenters online don't like this because it's got, you know, minority characters, a black lead and a Asian guy and all that stuff, and they're making fun of his accent and shit like that. Yes, absolutely, those people are, you know, completely disingenuous, racist, sexist, whatever. That's not all of Star Wars fans. It's not just one or the other. There are people who just want to see good Star Wars. And so when you make bad Star Wars stuff like this, and a majority of the fandom is like not going to tune in, obviously, by the viewership, and the reaction is, well, this is because of the trolls online. It's like, okay, so I'm not even allowed to criticize anything anymore. Because if I do, I'm called a racist sexist for not liking this. It's like, I have no problem with any of the people playing these roles. I mean, definitely think Amandla Stenberg kind of, you know, what do you call it? Like, dropped the ball making that awful cringe rap video response thing, whatever the fuck that was. But it's one of these things where it's like a lot of you people are just out of touch with reality, where it's like this was not canceled because of the racist, sexist online people. This was canceled because you spent $250 million on a shitty fucking show. And you know, pardon my French, but like I said, as a start, this stuff hurts. This stuff hurts. I loved Darth Plagueis. I now forever in Star Wars canon, he's gonna be this creep in a cave with no lines for 3 to 5 seconds. Something that I have been waiting for since the book came out in like 2011 to see come into live action. That's like a dream come true, and then you do it the way you did it. Is Chimera a Sith or is he a Knights of Ren? Ooh, it's kind of a mystery. Oh, fuck you. God damn it. All right, I got to stop before I'm here for an hour just ranting in your ear. But leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you one of the racist, sexist people who didn't tune in for The Acolyte? Or are you a fan of it? Or are you a rational Star Wars fan who realized that this was not a very well-made show in the slightest and does not deserve a second season when it costs $250 million to make per season? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video if you like my content. Subscribe for more conversations around Star Wars. I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and may the Force be with you always.